Item number 3 is to consider approving a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget to defray expenses, to authorize additional financing sources, and to authorize the budgetary transfers between funds or between spending agencies within a fund for Mesa County, Colorado. And we've got Diane Dziewatkoski with us. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. Diane Dziewatkoski, Budget Manager for Mesa County. Today I have for you a presentation to go over the amendments to our 2025 fiscal year budget. And I actually have 2 resolutions for you today. The first resolution is to officially amend the budget, and the second resolution is to update our authorized staffing level. And so here I have for you a high-level overview of some of the changes in the general fund, as well as some additional appropriations in a couple of our other funds. I do want to mention that in this budget supplemental, we have a lot of adjustments, reorganization. So if you're looking at the paperwork I submitted for public hearing, there's a lot of noise in there. So I tried to pull that out so that I could highlight what we're actually adding in the general fund. Total revenues, $718,000, total expenditures, $529,000, benefit to fund balance of $188,000. In our other funds, we're appropriating an additional $5 million to the capital fund, $118,000 stormwater, $73,000 in our conservation trust fund, and then $100,000 in our commissary fund. And as I mentioned, we do have a lot of reorganizations. The largest item in this budget is going to be changes as it relates to our behavioral health department. This department, a lot of their grant funding ended on June 30th. So really these adjustments are for the last half of the year. And it's going to be for shifting those FTEs to different departments, basically. So 5 FTEs are going to be shifting to our sheriff's office. Those are co-responders, 4 full-time and 2 part-time employees. And we did receive a new grant to cover these employees for the latter half of the year. We are shifting 1 FTE to our DA's office. 3 FTEs are being dissolved. 2 of those employees actually took positions in other departments, our IT department and our public health department. And then the 2 remaining FTEs, we're going to be reorganizing those and moving them under our county administrative department. We also have a lot of adjustments in this supplemental for Conservation Trust Fund, between the Conservation Trust Fund and the general fund. And really that's just reorganizing how we're going to be budgeting those expenses and paying for those expenses going forward. With our shift to our new Workday financial system, it made sense to make some of these changes now for that. And some additional revenues that we're adding to the general fund, our RTPO department got a traffic safety grant to cover a new FTE, a safety coordinator. This grant funding starts in October, so for this FTE is going to start in October. So this funding is for 3 months of this year. They also received $90,000 in a Clean Transit Enterprise Award that's going to go towards energy zero emission vehicle study. Our district attorney's office is adding some additional grant funding that wasn't included in the adopted budget. And then our sheriff's office also had some grant funding. And as I mentioned, a big part of that is that new grant to cover those co-responders. We are adding some additional expenditures to the general fund, $68,000 for our finance department. They've been crucial in our Workday implementation, and they've also been trying to complete their annual audit at the same time. So this is going towards some additional support for that team. Our public trustee, which falls under the treasurer, we are going to be adding an additional FTE to their department for the remainder of the year. This is an accounting administrator, and this FTE is going to be supported. There have been some legislative changes that have increased their fees in the public trustee's office. So we are forecasting that there's going to be additional revenue to cover this FTE in the coming years. For all of our other funds, we are going to be appropriating an additional $5 million in the capital fund for several projects, $200,000 to the Greenbelt Drainage Project, $2 million to 18 Road Flap, and then $2.8 million to the Orchard Avenue Corridor. We're appropriating an additional $118,000 in our stormwater fund for the stormwater TMDL contract that was approved in public hearing a couple weeks ago. As I mentioned, for our Conservation Trust Fund, we do have a lot of adjustments at the reorganization of how the budget for that is going to work for the remainder of the year, but we also are appropriating an additional $73,000 worth of fund balance, and this is going to go towards updating the sound system in the fairgrounds arenas and also cover a change order for the arena feasibility study. And then in our commissary fund, we're appropriating $100,000 for portable office space equipment. Basically, they're going to be utilizing the space that they already have and creating cubicle meeting space so that professionals can come in and meet with the inmates. And that's pretty much everything that goes with this first resolution. What questions do you have?
Questions?
My question, just for lack of not having the knowledge, you mentioned an additional 188,000 going into the commissary fund. Could you define or clarification on what that looks like?
So really, for the commissary fund, we are just appropriating fund balance. So there's no additional revenues there. They do have certain fees in the jail that goes towards building that fund balance. And so usually when they appropriate funds out of that fund, it should be going towards things that directly impact the inmates. And so this is, like I said, for creation of some meeting spaces for those inmates to meet with attorneys or counselors who come in to the jail.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
On the stormwater fund, it looks like that was transferred from the capital fund into the stormwater fund, correct?
No, this is just appropriating fund balance out of stormwater fund. Yeah.
Okay, so it was already in the stormwater fund.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
stormwater's not under the capital fund, is it?
No, it's not. It has its own.
Is there a reason it has its own fund, or
Yeah.
what's the reason?
Why the?
Why does it have its own fund? Why isn't it under the capital fund? It seems like a capital project.
The TMDL contract.
Yeah.
Specifically. I think it's because they have their own revenue source in the stormwater fund, and this is something that it's true that you could use capital funds for this kind of thing, but they have a pretty healthy fund balance in the stormwater fund, and so it's a good utilization of that since it directly impacts it.
Good. I have no further questions. Any further questions on this item? Okay.
I don't have any.
Any questions, comments from the public on this item? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and entertain a motion to approve item number 3 as entered into the record.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Item number 4 is to consider approving a resolution to amend the authorized staffing level for Mesa County, Colorado. Diane.
So I went over all of these changes already, but here's just a high-level look at what we are updating for our authorized staffing level. We have, as I mentioned, the reorganization of our behavioral health department. So the shifting of those FTEs out of that department, 5 to the sheriff's office, 1 to the DA, 3 being dissolved, and then 2 moving under county admin. We are adding that 1 FTE for the public trustee's office. So you'll see that here reflected under treasurer, and then also the FTE for our TPO. So overall, we are decreasing our authorized staffing level by 1.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
I don't have any.
I have none.
All right, any questions or comments from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 4 as entered into the record.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0.